Oh. Wow.
Hi, Linda. Can you hear me? It's Kevin.
Feel like that's an official place for these things. Yeah, but you're official. Come on. You're the chief of the bureau. Come on up, Dory. I know. Yeah. Come on, this thing doesn't bite. What's that? This thing doesn't bite. But it only sees its own.
Yo, it's definitely gonna pick you up.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's turn on the thing. Oh, are we on? Oh, good. Okay. So today we have with us Dewan, we have Dominic, we have Brony and Tom. And with us in the peanut gallery is the chief of police and Doreen. So this is great.
That's Gary.
And we also have Gary and Lloyd is here.
Voice of reason.
The voice of reason. Okay, so I have come up with an alternative solution to what the county has asked for in parking in front of Warren Street. And my idea is that we asked them to pave the gravel lot and line it near Ferry Street Bridge, and we would meter it. And we give 15 of their employees free parking for 6 years. And at which time we would renegotiate it. Okay, so here's the cost breakdown. The cost of paving and lining is $175, and that's according to Rob Perry. And parking, they can go out and get their own bid if they can go under. Parking for 15 employees each year is approximately $31,200. If you divide 31,200 into 175, we're at 5.6. So they get a good deal. They get a half a year free, essentially.
And if you want to sweeten the deal, maybe 1 or 2 spaces for urgent use.
For what?
Urgent use?
You know, like sometimes you just need to go in for 5 minutes for, you know what I mean?
No,
For
if you're an
Warren Street.
employee, you need to go in for 5 minutes?
I missed the calculation now. You're saying 6 years at half price.
No, I'm saying 6 years free.
For 12 spaces?
It's $31,000, okay? If they were to pay the whole thing,
Mhm.
for 15 spots,
15.
$31,200 a year
Jen's proposal is for spaces in the,
in the gravel
Gravel,
lot,
not
not
in
in
the-
front.
Oh.
Yeah,
but
no.
that's what I was saying, to sweeten the deal, maybe.
You
put
give them 2
1 or
spots.
2 spots right up front.
We're
Just
already
make it
getting
flex-
letters, if you guys aren't noticing,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
are getting letters that are saying absolutely not to this. This is
Well,
ridiculous.
yeah, 15 spots for no, for.
So I've asked the
Totally
people
different.
who have,
Cool.
I have asked the people who've written to us to write to the Board of Supervisors, as, namely to the Space Utilization Committee, so that they know that people are angry and watching. But anyway, what do you think of that idea? If you like the idea, I'll write to them this week. They are not, actually communicating back to me.
Hmm.
I have written to them maybe three times now, and no one writes back. But maybe if I throw this out there, they'll consider it.
It's a good proposal.
Because I think that it would solve 2 problems. It not only solves their employee problem, it solves 3 problems, actually. It doesn't just solve their employee problem, it solves the problem of the people using 11 Warren Street for services. They have now a place to park. And we also have a place for people if they come on Waterfront Wednesdays or for any other
Oh, yeah,
thing
definitely
that's happening down there at the waterfront. So I think
Cool.
that's a good
But
idea.
now that the gravel's not part of the redesign of the waterfront, it's not in scope anymore. It used to be, but I don't think it is.
No, it's not anymore.
Yeah.
So you're gonna put a kiosk down there?
Yes,
The gravel lot, when they were redesigning that.
Is the cost of the kiosk part of it?
It was in scope for
No.
a while, but it's.
Lloyd, no, not right now. Can you hold it till the end? I just want to get through, okay?
I was just wondering how many spots total.
I don't know.
Yeah. we're-
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd have to talk to Rob.
that's a great
More
idea.
than 30.
Yeah, it would
Definitely.
be,
More than
I
30.
think it's more like 40,
Yeah.
50. It's a pretty
lot.
big space.
And that's
And it may be,
15 only for business hours, so that's great for the city too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not real, the park is used after business hours mostly.
It's the residents that are very concerned about this, and I don't blame them, because what's going to end up happening is people are gonna come there for services, and they're going to take up all the spots that were used by residents. So, okay, you guys feel okay about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, so I'll write to them.
Very creative thinking, I like it.
Yes. So I sent you guys, the latest, greatest on all of the costing. You should have received it in your email.
and yes,
So it was a lot more than I thought it would be. So I kind of did some more creative thinking. And in an attempt to reduce costs, I took out several kiosks and kind of flipped around our phases. And so I'm suggesting that we put kiosks on Warren, and we put kiosks in the short-term lots, and we put kiosks at the long-term lot on Front Street. And we save doing the side streets, because there are now meters between, on 5th, 6th, and 7th. And we wanted also to put some kiosks on Worth. But I'm suggesting save those and we do those at a later date as phase 4. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, once we start seeing some income
It
generated.
starts making money.
Yeah, make some money
Yeah.
first, then.
So then, once we recoup some of the money that we've put out,
Mhm.
then we can discuss another 16 or so kiosks
Yeah.
to do the side streets. Okay, great. Glad everybody's on board. Did you happen to look at the reoccurring fees?
From Duncan, you mean? Or,
Not
oh,
from
these,
Duncan,
I
from these.
couldn't find the Duncan material.
Okay.
But I'll ask Tracy, she's gonna be here tomorrow morning, right?
Is that
You
kiosk
know,
costs?
when I talked to Kevin about this, and Kevin is online, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, there he is. Hi, Kevin. When I talked to Kevin about this, he was like, well, maybe we stick with kiosks and see how the text to pay situation goes, or mobile pay as they call it. Just because introducing another way to pay right now, it's not as streamlined as we wanted it to be. If we keep some of the meters, and by keeping the meters on the side streets, I'm also going to suggest that we switch out some of the heads, because the ones on the side streets especially are kind of foggy and they're harder to see through. So we switch them out, we make them all pretty, it looks better, it's more functional. And we still give people a way to pay via their credit card. If they want to, they can still text to pay.
Cool.
Okay.
I think it's great.
All right, cool. All right, moving along. If we negate the ones on the side streets, do we still, should we still be charging $1, or should we go 75 cents, or what do you think? Well, how do you feel?
Is that $1 per hour?
Dollar per hour.
Dollar.
I think that's fairly, I think that's,
Look at
Yeah.
you.
especially
Yeah,
if the
$1 per hour is, and I hope you can hear me. Hi, everybody. As I look out at the 20 or 30 municipalities that I'm constantly in touch with, very, very reasonable, very reasonable.
Yeah.
So we'll reintroduce that resolution.
I don't think we need to do that until we actually have a date for installation. And since we haven't purchased phase 3 kiosks yet, and because they're doing construction between 3rd and 1st, or 3rd and front, I don't think we can install phase 2 anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we just do it all at once. We do a rollout, a kickoff before that, explaining everything that we've decided. Having examples of our applications for certain programs that we're going to be running, have examples of all of the signage, show people how it's going to work, maybe invite T2 and ITS to come back with one of the kiosks to show people, hey, this is actually how it functions. This is how it would function on your phone. So that we're doing a real rollout so that people don't have misconceptions about what this is going to be. Because I'm getting a lot of letters with people who just have misinformation. And that's okay, that always happens. We haven't given anybody a fact sheet yet.
yeah, that, plus we could also do like a 1 month, instead of tickets, it's just a warning letter. or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Um,
What do you think about that, Kevin? Just a 1 month, that's a kind of a situation where we're transitioning into the
Yeah,
new system.
sure. What, 1 month non-enforcing, or 1 month where?
No fines or something.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There are existing generic videos of what we're talking about already online. Making that more personal in the city of Hudson would be one step better.
Yeah,
Jen?
yeah.
I want to ask, Gary, you sent out a fact sheet. What was the response to your fact sheet?
Not enough. We had limited real estate. And so our objective with that recent mailer was to get in front of people how they could claim credit for previous work done on their sidewalks. So I wanted to give them the whole status report. I wanted to take 3 pages. I had one page to work with the water and sewer.
Right.
So the complaint was that, they were missing information that had previously been published.
Well, how about we do this? We put a quick fact sheet together that is a one pager and with an invitation to
Well, yeah, like
a
QR code or something.
invitation to a webpage, or we do an actual in-house. We can't fit everyone in here, but maybe at the firehouse, we do an in-house informational session.
Yeah.
Which I think would be good, and maybe that happens in June.
Also put it like, the teacher and everything in a, hub,
Yes, yeah.
Definitely.
I tried to get Justin to put the survey on the hub, and he said that's only for emergencies and news. And I'm like, but this is news. But anyway, so it didn't happen. It's on our website though.
We should definitely be able to put it on.
No.
We should definitely, I mean, the whole point of the hub was to get
Yeah.
quicker,
Get
like, anybody that has the hub
information,
would be able to
Right.
get quicker.
I feel like we should be doing a newsletter once a month with all of our meetings, and I know who's gonna
That's what
do
Donald
it, but, you know.
Great idea. When are you gonna start?
I'm working on something right now.
Just going back to the mailer slash, if we do like a 1 month rollout period with, no enforcement fees, we can even, if we do that pamphlet, that could be given out
yeah,
as
also,
a informational, like,
Yeah.
hey, you did something wrong, but here's more information.
also the pamphlet,
Then they would have no,
Put it in the
excuse anymore.
no, the pamphlet we made, we should make a QR code.
Yeah.
Link to the video, and instructional video. so
Yeah.
Because
I
everybody
would-
uses that.
I would await to the text to park codes are assigned to us officially and then do a video based on that. This would be replicating exactly what somebody would do, rather than just in theory what they would do.
Right.
Right.
So how I broke it down, Kevin, since you brought up zones essentially,
Mhm.
I did it by street number. So for the on-street parking, I did it as Hudson 1 is between first and second. Hudson 2 is between second and third. Hudson 3 is between third and fourth. And then for the municipal lots, the short term, I did, and the long term I did with letters. So Hudson A through
Can
D or,
I add something to that?
I like-
yeah,
Instead of just Hudson 1, can we do Hudson like W1, like for Warren? Because potentially we might expand to other streets. It would be, do you know what I'm saying? So like,
yes,
for
I
example,
think we can change that at any time though. So let's keep it simple right now. How many letters do we get? Do you remember, Kevin?
I thought it was 8. I'll recheck that. I thought it was 8.
All right.
You wouldn't want to give a customer or a parker more than 8, by the way. It'd be one thing, Hudson's very easy to remember. Obviously, that's our generic code. So that leaves you Hudson 1 through 99. So that's good.
Okay. What else was I going to talk about? Okay, here's another thing. For the special pricing and program for people over 65 and who have disabilities. For that program, we are not going to require them to move after 2 hours or increase the price. Is that correct?
For the, disability
Yeah,
handicap.
So you're proposing a policy such that the people that are showing a valid permit for handicap and or over 65, that the 1 hour or 2 hour policy would not stand for them?
yes, that's what I'm suggesting.
So I have to speak, what my opinion is. My opinion is that always turnover comes first. And I'm not sure that's going to give you the turnover you want, but maybe it's a very, very small percentage of parkers. I'm not sure. I
think
wouldn't,
it's probably, I'm sorry to interrupt, it's probably a small percentage, and beyond that, in the municipalities that you've worked with before, I don't think that their housing is directly on their main street. Am I correct?
in some cases it is, meaning that you need long-term parking on the street. Is that what I'm hearing?
For only those residents.
Because they have no other choice, right? There's no on-site parking. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's correct. Their parking has always been at their building,
Mm.
in front of the
For
building.
the whole day, they can stay there?
Yes,
And overnight. Not,
Gary,
yes. And there's no need for a turnover down there. It's changing.
Gary, when 11 Warren Street happens, it's going to be a nightmare. I can understand what Kevin is saying. He's saying, I know what he's saying, but I'm just pointing out.
I'm not sure if you do.
You're saying that you think people should move or not move?
Not move.
That's what I think,
I think there should be resident parking.
for those specific people
That's right.
that have, who are over
Agree.
65 or have a
No, I
mobility
would
issue.
say that for residents, they do not, many do
Gary,
not.
then we have to do it all over Warren and all the other people that have lived on Warren. And I have quite a few friends who live on Warren. They find another place to park. But if you have a mobility issue, I could understand why you wouldn't.
If they find another place to park, they have municipal parking close by. Someone on Warren Street, where would you suggest they park?
There are 2 municipal lots on Warren Street. Is a
Let's say the
municipal,
100 block, or the 200.
hold on. This is another reason I'm asking for, I asked you specifically about the Chamber of Commerce. I'm also asking the county as of tomorrow, if we can pave that lot or if they will pave it for us, because they're going to cause a big problem. So those are 2 other spots that they could park. If you have a mobility issue, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
That I can understand. But if you don't have a mobility issue, then you should probably behave the way everyone else who's lived on Warren for however long has behaved.
Well, that
with
sounds
parking.
fine, but you're also asking people who have lived on Lower Warren for 20 years to now find another spot to park.
Some things
From
change
9 to 5.
from 9 to 5, yeah. And then
And we're talking about retirees, et cetera.
this is, but you're not hearing me then.
No, I am, but
Chief,
If I may, I just have a question about it. The goal is turnover or revenue, I guess. And Kevin can chime in with this because it's just something that it's something that
I think this is
I thought about.
so in a roundabout way,
Sorry, Kevin. I think like
Go
what
ahead.
I'm hearing is that, right, turnover is important, and so is revenue. But if we're thinking about that 2-hour time limit, as well as progressive pricing, so if you stay over 2 hours, the price doubles. So if you have a car paying $1 an hour, so it's $2 for 2 hours, but then it doubles, someone who's coming in and taking that spot is now back down to $2 for that next 2 hours. So wouldn't you actually be losing revenue with the turnover
I think
in theory?
the increase in prices is incentivized that they don't stay unless they necessarily need it. So that,
that,
Right.
I am
I'm
suggesting.
not for one or the other.
I
I'm
see
just
what you're
trying
saying. I
to-
see what you're saying, yeah.
To ask kind of what's the goal?
I understand what you're saying. But to Gary's point, if you're someone with a mobility issue who's lived on Lower Warren and you don't have parking in the back of your home, then what are you to do? So what my compromise or what my creative thinking was around it was that they are able to stay there all day if they have to. because they can't get, they're not mobile enough to move.
Would you double the price after 2 hours on that?
Lloyd,
It's free for them.
again,
So Kevin wants to say something. Let's hear from the Kevin.
he's the
So when we talk about parking policies, we usually have something that's identifiable to everybody. And we go to enforcement because enforcement people have to be the people that easily identify what parking policies apply to what parkers. When you have a handicap sticker or hang tag, that's easily identifiable. When you have a person over 65, which by the way, and there's probably some people in the room can attest to this, at 65, 70, we're not assuming you have a mobility issue. But my question is, and the opposite could be true too, but how do you enforce by age? And it's almost like counter, you know what I mean? It's not allowing the enforcement people to easily identify. You have resident, that's fine. You want to do resident permits, great. You want to do business owner permits, great. You can identify that. You want to do permits for handicap, great. You can identify that. I don't understand how you would easily identify by age specifically for a visitor. What about a visitor of somebody that's coming into town?
This has nothing to do with visitors. These are
It's-
residents. This would only be residents of Warren Street who are over 65 or have a disability.
So they would
So they'd be
probably.
permitted
City Hall.
parkers.
Yeah,
Pretty much, in the way that we would identify them is by their plate number.
I think it would require them to register ahead of time.
Yes, they will
It
have
is.
to fill out an application
Okay.
online. Maureen and I and Chief Franklin have talked about this. They would have to register previously, online. They don't even have to come to the police department and do it. They can just do it online, and then that will be entered into the back end of Iris, which is the software that we're going to be using. And then that plate number would be recognized.
Right, gotcha.
So in lieu of a permit, you have your
Virtual
your
permit,
tag.
yeah.
Essentially, that's what I needed to understand. That is a permit. So it's I
Yeah.
get it. I get it now. Okay.
Okay, cool. Do you guys feel okay with this?
I think for disabled residents of that ward, I'm on board. I'm not quite on board with the.
Over
65.
65.
With the city, but we could put in a provision where if they can get some kind of medical.
Yeah.
But usually if you can get that, you can get a handicap
handicap.
tag, so.
Yeah.
I think the handicap tag.
As someone, believe
Plus
it
the
or not, over
residents.
65, I'm against it.
Listen,
How
so
do you,
we're talking about 65 plus disability or just disability?
anyone with a disability, if
Yeah.
you are, if you have trouble with your mobility or you
That
have some
age don't
other-
matter, but
Yeah.
then 65 is different. We're
Yes.
talking about two different
Correct.
Yes.
categories.
yes,
I think, next to 65.
okay,
Because sometimes sometimes somebody might have, knee surgery, like under 65. and
Right.
You might have a temporary need for that spot.
Okay.
So I think the disability kind of takes a lot of the work out of the city hall because it would be a medical
yes,
provision, which they would get a permit for in city hall anyways.
So I was thinking, just take off 65, let's
Okay.
use the disability.
okay,
Disability plus resident. So it's
Yeah,
not anybody with
the
disability.
yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I would keep the state.
And,
Well, when you say disability, it's a valid handicap parking plaque.
yeah,
Right, so it's already been
Same
registered, right?
rules.
So, but the other thing, though, is that we have to consider, non-residents.
No, we
Whoa,
don't.
whoa, whoa, let me-
Sorry.
Let make his
Whoa.
case.
Okay. I'm not gonna say,
Dominic,
no,
sorry.
you get the DOJ on your ass.
Sorry.
No.
No, I know what you mean. Sorry.
Dominic, if someone is visiting Hudson, and they have been for a long time, people come here continuously,
Mhm.
and they have a disability, they probably have a placard.
Mhm.
What's
No, I
different?
think what he's saying is like.
The difference is, let me tell you what the difference is, okay? Right now, you're saying, which I agree with, Hudson residents are going to have this half price or the exemption for all day,
Only residents of
Only
Warren
residents.
Street,
Correct.
not anywhere else.
However, what happens for our visitors that have a valid placard?
Mhm.
Where are they gonna park near where it's close to the kiosk?
They don't have to use the kiosk.
You're assuming that someone in a wheelchair that is senior has a capability to use the computer. What happens, they want to choose to use the money machine for the kiosk.
Well, then we should just not do this at all.
Okay,
Well,
so
no,
I'm seriously
Here's
just don't
here's
know.
listen,
something to
I'm just playing what could happen in a
Most,
scenario.
Kevin's got
Kevin's
some.
hand up.
so
Actually, that's-
if you could consider having, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see the policies of the timing in a certain parking situation stay ubiquitous for everyone. However, people with disability and valid placards not paying at all. This would completely negate any reason to not use a computer or get to a kiosk. The percentage is such that if we're talking about revenue, it's very little. I'd like this board to consider that a true handicap, and this is normally what happens, they don't pay at all. But they can't stay all day either. They still have to follow the rules and policies of how long to stay.
Right.
So Kevin, have you seen that before? Because
Yes, that's what I
was-
see.
I was on the phone today with Dutchess County, their ADA coordinator. They said that if you do not charge someone with a disability, even if it can be reduced, those without a disability could claim discrimination.
they could, and we have someone, we already had someone on the survey, and I know who this person is, say that she's against all discounts for anyone over 65 or with a disability.
But they did say because seniors and people with disability are allowed a discount in stores and whatever it is, right? That's not an issue to allow them a discount, but to say they can stay for free, that might create an issue of legality.
How about this?
I'd like to further investigate. That probably would be one call to New York State. You have a valid point. I've seen municipalities stay in that regard to free for disability placards for for literally decades. So I'm not saying that it could not be found to be incorrect. I'd love to get the correct answer on that.
I would like somebody to sue for that.
Or
Yes.
Kevin, also, so in a parking lot, the ratio is 1/25 in
That's
terms
right.
of, is there anything for a public street parking that is designated parking? Or, per spot for ADA compliance?
on the street, it would be one every X number of spaces. I don't know what that is, but there is a ruling on that in New York State, yes.
Right.
Gary, do you know, since you've been dealing with this, with sidewalks and so
I
forth?
do not know that.
Okay,
Because in terms of the kiosk, it doesn't have to, New York, the ADA says it has to have access, a close access to that kiosk in terms of the parking spot for
well,
ADA.
Chief Franklin, do we have on street? We do, because
What, the
can't,
spots for handicap?
yeah.
Yes.
So why don't we just put the kiosk in front of the handicap spot?
I mean, it would make sense because they're existing, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to make new.
This brings me to my next problem that needs solving, and that is the map. I cannot even get into the map that was sent to me for phase 3. I can't open it. I can't see it. I asked Adam to send me a screenshot of it so that I could maybe look at it that way and blow it up on my big computer, my desktop. and, still can't make heads or tails of it.
You mind sending it to me, if that's possible?
I
Whatever you
can,
have.
but the other problem is that for the paperwork for T2 and ITS, putting in the zones so that they can,
Program accordingly.
program everything appropriately. All of those things, I can't do without the actual coordinates
Mhm.
of the kiosk. And the other thing that Kevin and I were discussing to further bring down costs was to not put posts in the ground for the signs, to actually put them on the lampposts. And it also just will declutter things, you know? So if we put them on the lampposts are not evenly spaced. And I don't think this was considered at all when
Rob about that too?
I have not.
Should be okay.
There's already things on our
There are? I
lampposts.
didn't know.
Yes, there
Now
are
that we
some.
own it, we could do that.
Yeah, we own.
So I feel like that's a good idea, but because these are not evenly spaced, and I don't know what Adam did in terms of spacing for the kiosks, I feel like maybe Doreen and I should go for a nice walk and just like look at the spacing between the posts, look at where the handicap spaces fall, so that perhaps we can put the kiosks in front of handicap spaces and then the signage in between those things, and make sure that it's okay and that we have the coordinates perfectly and we can send them the information.
And I didn't check, now the kiosk, Kevin, you might know this, the kiosks are ADA compliant, right, in terms
Of
of,
course,
yeah.
The kiosk are, but it does beg the question, especially since Jen told me there's some little work going on there in certain places. I mean, what is the reality? And we have to look at this of somebody getting out with a wheelchair, getting up on the sidewalk and using the machine. That's one aspect of it. Even if the machine is ADA compliant, getting to the machine is a question, right?
well, we have just redone, thanks
Okay.
in part to Gary, all of the ramps on the edges of each sidewalk to make sure that they're ADA compliant. And also, if you're in a wheelchair, it's not certain, but it's more than likely someone else is going to be helping you and driving for you. So
Yes.
you're going to be the passenger, and you're probably going to be the one closest to the sidewalk.
Right.
So so I think it's okay. I don't know.
Well, the people that I know aren't in a wheelchair, they drive for themselves.
They
Yeah,
drive for
So they get
themselves.
out,
Okay,
go to the corner.
and then they go up
Use
the
big-
ramp.
No, actually, what they could do, depending on the vehicle, is that their ramp exits right onto the sidewalk.
Oh, right.
Okay,
They have a ramp on the side.
Right, if a wheelchair accessible, the ramp will come down right onto the sidewalk. And they'll push a fob and they'll be able to push it back.
so the ramp is in the front of the car,
On the side.
No, the ramp is on the side of the van.
Side.
side of a van.
Yep.
So, and then you have to consider, okay, well, how do we, if we put the kiosk right in, like, I need to know all
The
of the
kiosk would
measurements
essentially, like, if we have a space, you would probably want the kiosk
in the very front.
either in where the front of the car would be or the back of the car, but not in the middle, because
Yeah,
that would
because
be
that's
where
when
the.
Right,
it's gonna
because that would
cover
be,
the-
that would.
Right.
Right, okay,
You need the clearance.
front or back.
Because that would be a demarcated line, this is
Yeah.
where you would park, so you can kind of estimate.
Mhm.
Front or back at. Okay, great. That makes sense. All right, so next.
Related to, Jen, related to signs, I can go with you and Doreen and Chief, and do this survey. I think it's really important. So I'll be there to do that. And I will
Okay.
bring up, I want to show you the idea of a Velcro-based sign which allows you to instantly, for example, if there was an emergency or there was a change in policy, you can take an existing sign and very nicely Velcro a sign over it. And when that event stopped or that policy stopped, you can take it off. And I'd like to see us leave ourselves open to different policies and different situations on the street. And I'll bring in an example of that.
Okay,
That's a good thing, like,
Sounds good.
sometimes we have no parking for the event.
Yeah.
Usually,
Yeah.
Rob asked about those other signs, you know.
right.
yeah.
Just to alleviate your concerns about people sticking random things, the Velcro isn't like hook and loop ones that, if you ever have an Easy Pass, it's kind of those, that's not a common thing you can buy, so it's. Right,
No,
Kevin,
I-
it's probably not the fabric style Velcro, it's more of something more unique so that people can't really stick anything on there unless, I mean, some people have it.
Um,
Can you do magnetic?
Well, then it's a problem.
People are just gonna steal it then.
Yeah,
You can
that's
still Velcro too. I'm just saying, if it's magnetic, right, you know, you could put in, you know, the temporary sign over top the metal sign, right?
Yes.
That's magnetic, right?
You could do
That-
magnetic or commercial Velcro. I've never seen any problem with it at all, honestly. It's been great. People don't even know the sign is over the sign.
Right.
And it's high enough.
And it's good.
That assumes that the signs are metal, but, because we did discuss other materials, but,
Yeah, they don't have to,
Okay.
like, especially the temporary ones wouldn't be done.
yeah. So back to where we are, back to our special program, because I just want to make sure that I understand each of these so that I can summarize them well, and we can start working on the fact sheet. We are doing a special program for people with disabilities. They will get half price, so 50 cents an hour. They will not be required to move if they are a resident of Warren Street.
Yeah.
This is good, yes, okay. The other thing I was going to.
Getting,
Wait, so you mean they pay the one fee for the first whatever, and
No.
then they pay no fee?
No,
no, they're
They
paying
pay
hourly, but they don't have to
hourly,
move their car,
but they don't have to move, and their price will not go up.
increase.
Okay,
That's
So
great.
it's 50 cents an hour.
gotcha.
So how long they
So it's
stay?
$4 for
50
the-
cents per hour, that's it.
It's $4 for the day.
It's $4 per day. And what that comes out to per year, because I did the math, is $1,248 a year.
Yeah.
And this brings me to the next thing. $1,248 a year. So our current permit situation for the short-term parking lots is $250 a year, which is, to me, beyond a special deal, because in those lots currently, it's about, oh, I don't know what $2,190 a year is what it would be at 75 cents an hour. So if we are going to continue to have, in lieu of permits, an application that you can fill out for parking in short-term lots, what should the fee be?
So how much is the current fee now?
Current fee is $250 and it's prorated.
Do we have,
And what the fee would be is if you paid what we're suggesting, which is 75 cents an hour, it would be $2,190.
do we have any numbers on how many permits exist for the short-term municipal lots? Even if it's an estimate.
I don't have the current number.
I'm sure that's something we could pull from parking
If
somewhere.
you can get an answer. Great. I can't, because I've asked.
Oh, okay, so they don't
So
have it on hand.
I,
Yeah, those are issued by the clerk's office.
Sure.
Or parking. It's not, parking, yeah, we
I-
issue different, they're different.
Try. So I can try
And that's-
again.
Is that renewed, that's renewed yearly, right?
It is, so this is the other thing. Lloyd, can you stop? I'm trying to get through this.
Yeah, you have to stop interrupting our meeting, because it doesn't matter, you're in our meeting. Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
About the, how many permit?
That is, I asked you.
There was no limit put on how many you could sell. So I'm not sure how many are out there right now. The one thing that we do have to do, we really need to do, it's important, is to create some language around what short-term and what long-term parking means
Mhm.
in our code. And we also have to rewrite the rules on these things because I think the last time those rates went up was 2012.
I think it's a pretty
Yeah.
simple, in my mind, short term is you move it per day. Long term is you do it for more than a day.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly fair. So
So-
if it's a permit that you, essentially you come in for work, you park there and you get out of there, that's short
So it's
term.
an 8-hour permit.
Even if it's just within 24.
of
I would say
24 hours.
24 hours, you move
Within
it,
the
and
same
then-
calendar day would be short.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
24 hours.
Well, you can't
No
say
more-
24 hours because it could be 11 PM at night. You know, I would say
Well-
within the same calendar day.
Jen, how'd you get the number for the $1,200, $1,400? How'd you get that number? For the fee for the,
50 cents an hour, 8 hours a day,
That's the difference.
times 5,
Oh, times 52.
times 52.
Gotcha.
but normally December's free. So it'd be 11 months, right?
Okay,
Oh, okay.
whatever.
So that's
It's still a
actually-
lot of money.
No, still, no, I'm just, what I'm saying is it's still gonna be a little less.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So,
We're gonna get rid of it.
Gary.
Gary,
Question, so I just want to be clear. So for handicap, we're talking 1248 annually for them to be able
well,
to
last,
park in front of their building?
he
If-
just
if
pointed
they-
out to me that it would even be less than that.
So it'll be closer to 1,100 because of the
Yeah.
current situation. But I think
1,100 for a handicapped person to park in front of their building.
Yes.
I think Jen was about to go in. She put that data in front. I think you had some other concerns that we might try to alleviate some of those. Is that what you were going at?
No, I want things to be fair across the board. And if somebody wanted to buy a permit to park in a lot, if they want to take their car and put it in a lot every day for whatever, I want it to be a better deal than the long-term parking. And long-term parking at this point is $10 a day or it's $50 a week.
I haven't finished my question. So that's handicap, and then for a senior citizen who's not handicapped, they would have to pay 2,500 a year to park in front of their
Yes,
building,
yes,
even if they're 70 years old.
like everyone else on Warren Street.
Or they get a doctor's note and get.
Or they get a doctor's note.
I mean, mobility,
That's a lot of money.
mobility is also hard.
That's on top of, you're asking for a senior, I'm sorry, you're asking for a senior citizen. I'm sorry, I'm just speaking my mind.
I don't know, Gary, I'm trying really hard here. I really am.
Well, I mean, we still have, nothing is set in stone yet. We still have the potential for not,
We have to get this set in stone or I can't fill out the paperwork. We can't move forward with anything. We can't do a fact sheet. We can't have a kickoff. We can't do anything. We can't put the kiosks in until we come to some conclusion on this.
And we are not set in stone on these pricing as of tonight.
so is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to
I'm trying to
Today? Okay.
figure
No,
out.
no, I just wanted.
We meet once a month. We put this off again, then it's May, then it's June, then it's July. I was hoping that maybe by the end of June, after parade season, we could maybe move forward with installation. Since we have 16 kiosks sitting in a warehouse and we will be charged warranty fees for these things.
Yeah.
Jen, I just want to be clear on the question you're putting out right now. Are you putting out the question about what this committee should make an opinion on what a permit should now cost instead of $250? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would like to know that, and I would like to get an opinion on what we do as far as special pricing for people with disabilities. And now we decided it's no longer 65 and older, it's just people with disabilities.
Yes, I would agree with that, by the way. And so to answer your question on the 250, you're going down the right path by doing a multiplication of what rates are times the number of hours of enforcement. We call them enforcement hours. In your case, it's 8 hours a day, correct?
Yes,
And then multiply that by an average of 5 days, right? You could say 7, but 5 business days times 52. And I understand that came up somewhere around 25 to 2,700, right?
it was 25.55.
Okay, so certainly a rate of 250 that has been in place since 2012. It's now 13 years later. Without batting an eye, I think that is reasonable still at $500. You're doubling your rate, you're doubling your revenue. So put it out to vote. Put it out to vote.
I think we should also put a limit on how many permits we give out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely, yeah.
The other thing that's happening, and I just want to point this out, people who have been parking in long-term, some of them don't have space. It's often full.
Yep.
They have been buying the permits for short-term and leaving their cars there overnight.
Yep. Because they have no choice.
Well, it's not that they have no choice, it's also cheaper. So I don't know how does everyone feel about short-term parking?
A long-term parking,
Permits.
as everybody knows, if you go to an airport, everybody's done this. Let's use JFK. You go out way out on that tram and you're spending $40 a day because you went away to Florida for a week. I just did it, by the way, for unfortunate reasons. Or short-term at $80 to $90 a day. So you always want long-term parking to be less money. Right? And you're saying that's not the case right now. You just said that short-term was less money.
Yes, and it
You-
always has been in our town.
So let's try to,
Also needs to be a provision in the code to not allow overnight parking in short-term lots. And then when enforcement happens
Yes.
overnight, vehicles in the parking lots,
Oh,
then
does
we
that,
can enforce that.
that does not exist currently?
No,
There's no provision for that.
no,
There was only for certain lots that had the wrong side, right? That's since changed too.
Sounds like that's a quick and easy one for
that's
the legal
Columbia,
committee.
Yeah. That was the only lot that had the provision
I'm not
for
sure,
the overnight parking.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
No overnights at municipal lots?
No, I'm not sure how I feel about that because some people specifically, I know this to be true. Some people have specifically bought those permits because they live on Warren.
What
I
are,
see what you're saying. I mean,
what are those permits? If we're moving to a different system for permitting, wouldn't those only be during business hours when the meters or kiosks are in effect?
we can create ones
Yeah, I
for
mean-
residents, ones for business, like business hour use. Those are possibilities. Like somebody that works on Warren Street buys it for short term. They are not allowed to park overnight. Somebody who lives on these streets gets one that's allowed for overnights. And
That's
these
right.
are easy to, because everything is on the computer, so you're not having
Right,
to check individually.
right.
that's right.
So when enforcement does go to
Yeah,
check
I think
in
we
place.
just have to identify what those permits are, right?
Yeah.
Short term or resident,
Yeah.
however we want to code that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so let's go back to the pricing on that. What would the pricing be? Kevin suggested $500.
For,
Short term?
Short
across the board for regardless of resident or not, or,
Yes,
I mean, we could provide a little bit of discount for residents or something like that, but,
what
yeah.
were you saying?
No, I think that's fair, 500 is fair. I think, yeah, we should probably put it in our future, schedule, like something to be revisited every few years rather than every 10 years, so that's not a jump
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah,
but.
okay,
Every 3 years.
or every
Yeah.
3 years.
Every 3 years is reevaluated. Obviously, there's no mandate to increase it, but I would imagine it would be increased even if it's by a small percentage. Everything goes up.
Okay. All right. So what I'll try and do this week is I'll put together, special programs and what we've discussed about special programs.
Mhm.
And I will send it to each of you for, in case we come up with some brilliant idea before our next meeting,
Mhm.
I can send it to you guys and just so that we all have it and
And
we can keep brainstorming. It doesn't have to be in the
yeah,
meeting.
and I've offered this to you before. If it's some just brainstorming, it's not a decision discussion. We can, not have it just a meeting, but we'll just talk about it. If it's through emails and everything, that's all public.
Yeah,
So it's.
yeah. So I'll put it together and I'll email everybody.
I have phone calls out to Northeast ADA Center
Uh-huh,
to see about their recommendations on parking.
okay,
In terms of, what they're, have seen for accommodations. I have a phone call to Kingston, to see what they do for accommodations for parking.
okay.
So I've been reaching out to the ADA coordinators.
When do you think you'll have some kind of definitive answers from them?
Whenever they call me back. I mean, the mayor of Kingston, I left a message for him because he's the ADA coordinator in Kingston.
Okay,
I left a message for the Northeast, before I left work. Just the Duchess did get back to me. That's the one that said that, town of Poughkeepsie has some things, but there's not much in terms of what they do for the disability community in terms of, breakdown in, breaks in parking, which is kind of weird for me, but, Troy, it was the same way. They're the ones that recommended that what they did was making sure that the parking was close to the kiosks
okay,
because of access, what's called access.
okay,
So, but as soon as I get some, I'll email you, the information I get.
okay, great. Because like I said, we meet once a month. And
No, I know, yeah.
And the longer we put off these decisions, the longer it's going to be before we are able to put up in the kiosks. I know that we can't start until the sidewalks are done, on Lower Warren. And that, according to Rob, in our last informal meeting, he said late May, early June.
Maybe.
I don't know that we should do this before parade season. I think we should wait until after June or the end of June. I don't know.
I also got a call into Albany in their corporate council, because they're the ADA coordinator for Albany, to see what they do for parking,
Okay,
especially because they deal with residential.
okay. Their parking fees are so much different than ours. Theirs are by zone, and each zone has different fees.
Yeah.
And their fees go all the way up to $8 an hour.
Yeah,
So it's kind of crazy.
it's for like the downtown areas. which
Yeah.
is
Jen,
very-
Rob was talking about the ramps.
Uh-huh.
It won't happen anytime soon, but the sidewalks between those ramps, could very well be out of ADA compliance. We haven't inspected those yet.
Okay,
So Rob is talking about the ramps on the curves.
so that happens late May,
That finishes up in May.
okay, or early June. Okay, parking, okay. Accessibility. Okay. Lloyd, what do you need to say?
Well, just getting back to the chief's point, is the objective to raise revenue, or is it to somehow increase turnover, or trying to, what's the word, to like have a certain behavior,
I think both.
Both, yeah.
right? So if you're gonna do that, are there different zones where you would be different objectives?
No,
No, we're not gonna have to.
because it's, Warren Street is considered our business district.
Well, I know South Third on Warren has been different.
Right, but it won't be because of 11 Warren.
No, I got you.
And it's.
Eleven Warren's gonna affect not only Warren, but Union and.
Yes, it's gonna be, it will.
We may be looking at metering Union and Allen, so we can protect the residents
For
there.
sure, yeah.
I agree.
So that's something we have to use as leverage for that
Yeah.
lot.
So just another aspect of my.
Because they
You
can't
wanna
stop.
come with me to the next meeting if I get another in face
When
to face?
When do they have these meetings?
They invited Margaret and not anyone from parking. I don't.
Yeah,
know
as
why.
long as she's communicating with us, but when are they during like daytime hours?
They are, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's 3 hours of PTO, but, and they don't do any online stuff. But if it's something where it's actually negotiating, I'll come.
Because I think this is a really good deal for them.
It's a good deal for them,
It
and
would
then
solve a
we
lot of
could play,
problems.
we could play hardball and just circle them up with meters.
We've already told them no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Lloyd,
Just follow up on, because the actual original, do we have a breakdown of the current revenue from the various sources and the cost? Do we have an actual picture?
yes,
Yes.
Can I get something like that, or is that available to the public?
You can get it all online because all of the documents that we've discussed are on our parking study and.
well,
And then as part of that, do we have an objective? Do we have a target for revenue?
we can't, you can't predict the future. And honestly, I really do think that tourism is down a bit, and because it's being reflected in parking already. And I have heard from multiple businesses, that their business is down. So we can't predict what's going to happen with tourism.
Yeah.
Although the last few weekends, because I work on Warren, I have seen parking full on Warren, all the way down.
Well, business also shifts, you know.
Business does shift, so there's no way to,
Like,
there's
one
no way
business might
to,
go up, one business might go down.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever's happening in town.
yeah, true, if there's an event or something. But we also know that over the winter, that definitely lodging was down. So
Yeah.
there's no way to predict what's gonna happen.
Jen, so you went to the space, what supervisor from the city is on that committee?
Well, it was Linda Mussman,
Oh, she was?
but they didn't invite her to the meeting and didn't tell her about it.
Is she actually on that committee?
She was.
Oh.
On the 11 Warren.
So
No.
can't you,
It's the call- what the
Space
call again?
utilization
utilization.
committee.
but can't you also invite, if it happens, right? Can't you invite the supervisors from Hudson to
Absolutely.
to go there?
I would have liked that, but as I was told a day before this meeting that that I was invited, I wasn't completely prepared.
Why does it have to be something don't they have open meeting laws?
No, it's totally open. You can go.
No,
Yeah, but
it's
yeah,
not.
it's
This
when
is
they have the
behind
meeting.
closed
Yeah.
doors. This
You
is-
cannot do it behind, no, this is true. They've tried to do that, but technically they can't.
So what do they usually do? Like post the notice like a day before so no one has? Exactly.
It's, yeah.
I don't know what this meeting was.
Yeah.
I didn't go back and look on
Was it
their
the full
website.
committee? It was the full committee, right?
It was most of them,
Yeah.
and the treasurer was there. So,
If there's
I-
most of a committee, then it's an open meeting.
Then it's open meeting, yeah, that's the rules.
More than three people, that's it.
Yeah, if you know when the meeting is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I needed to go to a transportation meeting for the county and they didn't have one scheduled in December, but I needed to address something. So even though they said, oh, we aren't gonna have a meeting, so they had to get it together to have this meeting so I could address some things. But they weren't gonna have the meeting. So I would have had to wait till after the first of the year. So it's when they're meeting, making sure their meeting happens. when it's supposed to happen.
well, whatever, I'm going to write our proposal down and send it to them and ask for an answer this time because, I mean, they can take their time in
Have
thinking
you-
about it, but
CC everybody.
I will.
And the registrar. No, seriously.
Yeah, I will.
No, you have to.
I'll CC
Registrar, gossip.
Tiffany then.
Yeah, because that's how politics is done. You gotta, they don't wanna listen to you being nice, then you have to do it the other way.
Okay. All right. Any,
Because you are hearing, from your constituents, from the city on the negative of weather. So I think it's important that, like Ronnie said, that it's out there, that you are working for the residents of the city.
Yeah, right. And you're getting all the heat, but you're not,
Right.
you're not able to show what you're trying to do to resolve some of this.
And it's not you, it's the county.
Yeah, it's the county that's, putting the block. But, yeah, if you can schedule a meeting, I will take some PTO. It's gonna, even if it's something like, if you can't schedule a meeting and you know where the meeting is, and have to show up,
There's always that
you gotta
401
let me
state.
know a day ahead of time. That's all.
It's in the committee room for one state, but make sure it's on Wednesday, so I want to get chicken on Wednesday.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Aren't they closing?
Stop it.
Sorry.
Logan, stop it. Don't even say that.
Okay, sorry.
Who said that?
Nothing. Anything else, you guys? Kevin, anything that you can think of?
There's going to be a lot of things to think of, which I promised to do. As you know, I'm just getting back yesterday, so I've got a lot to digest, which I'll do over the next 48 hours, and glad to forward any further thoughts I have to yourself, the group, everybody.
I do have a ask for you, Kevin, if it's possible, in your experience of working with other municipalities, if you have like a fact sheet that they've used, we can kind of try to cater, kind of, make it our own, that way we're not working from scratch.
Yeah.
I tried to do the one for Jeff, but there was only 3 questions on there.
Yeah.
On the website at least.
I'll put a feather in all your caps. You're being very conscientious about what you're doing. I will say that. Things are taking probably a little longer than you thought, but it's worthwhile. We'll get it right.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, just FYI, I sent all of you a new to-do list and with some of the things that we've already done kind of marked off. So, okay.
Cool.
All right. Great.
Can I,
Thank you, Jane.
You can close the meeting.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
can I show you something?
Yes.